Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. The nation is still mourning in fact, it's a 7-day mourning period. All flags are flying at half-mast, and that's because former President Buhari passed on. In fact, his funeral, him being a Muslim, his funeral is set for today. It's very, very shortly after the event that it happens in the Islamic faith. So he is on the way. If he hasn't arrived the country yet, his corpse, I beg your pardon, his corpse is on the way back. You've seen in the news that the president, such is the respect that is being accorded former President Muhammadu Buhari, that the vice president, no less, has been asked by the president to go and join with his family and members of the Katsina State Organizing Committee. In short, there is a presidential, presidential, involvement in all of this. So that's the way it is. All things are set for President Muhammadu Buhari, the immediate past president of Nigeria, to be buried today in Daura, his hometown. And by the way, Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi is our guest this morning. He's a politician. He's an executive director of Patriots for Advancement of Peace and Social Development. Good morning to you, sir. Alhaji Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi.
Good morning, Chief. Thank you for having me in the program.
Our pleasure, sir. But it's just Yori Folani. Thank you very much, sir. By the way, the man, President Buhari passed on. He wasn't exactly a spring chicken, at 82. I wanted to ask, did you have any personal interactions with the great man?
Yeah, I have a personal interaction with late former President Muhammadu Buhari far back 22 years ago. But before I say anything, I want to say Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilaihi Raji'una. Indeed, from God we will come from, and from God we shall return.
Indeed, that's very, very important, and it always comes up at Islamic funerals, that basic truth of life. Now, in fact, we've been hearing, just coincidentally, another former president of Nigeria, Abdullahi Abubakar, happened to be in the same hospital with him, and he has been speaking since. But let's talk about the great man Buhari himself. What would you say? What sort of jumps out at you as one of the legacies, a couple of the legacies that he can rightly be remembered for?
The immediate past president, that is the former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died in UK on Sunday, is a national mourning and a very significant loss, not only to his family, but to the northern Nigeria in general, and also to Nigeria as a country at large. So it's a very significant loss and a very big vacuum his death will have created in Nigeria political landscape. Looking at his historical background, from the public and private life for the first 82 years of his life. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, he was born in 1942. And he joined Nigerian Army in 1962 when he was 20 years old. And he was raised as orphan. He lost his father at the age of 4 years. So when he was enlisted into Nigerian Military Training College in Kaduna, which is now Nigerian Defense Academy, he joined this military training. he had wanted to, where would he in the right? He said he had wanted to be a medical doctor. And the only, there was no admission, he didn't got admission to be a medical student. Then he wanted to study pharmacy, but his uncle, Mamandora, advised him to study, to join military in 1962. After he finished the Nigerian military school, then he was commissioned as a second lieutenant. In 1966, during when Sarodona and Ahmadu Bello was killed in Enzegu coup, he was part and parcel of the Civil War. So if you look at his historical background, being in the military, he has raised to the rank of general. He was a governor of the northeastern region. He has been a federal commissioner during Olusegun Obasanjo cabinet. He was also a brigade commander, GOC. He was a GOC brigade commander. He has commanded a lot of commands in the military. He was also a chairman of the Nigerian Petroleum Corporation. He was the pioneer chairman of Nigerian Petroleum Corporation. During his tenure as a chairman of Nigerian Petroleum Corporation, it was during his tenure that 21 depots were established. So if you look at his historical background, he was in the military for 23 years, from 1962 to 1983, when he did topple the government of democratically elected President Buhari Shagari, and he became the head of state. And from 1983 to 1986, Babangida toppled his government and detained him, arrested and detained him for good 3 years. After, in 1988, from 1985 to 1988, when his mother died, he was released. He was arrested and detained in Benin, the present Edo State. So, if looking at his historical background, and he was compulsory retired by General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida in 1988. And in 1999, he married, in 1991, he married Aisha Halilu. That is his present wife, about 34 years ago now. So looking at his historical background in the public life, in 2003, he joined politics. Some people in the northern state went and pleaded with him to join politics to save the country from the economic decline and social biases. And he joined politics in 2003. Let me also refresh your memory. He was a chairman of PTF during the regime of late Sani Abacha. He is a symbol of transparency,
Petroleum Trust
accountability.
Fund.
Yeah, there's a petroleum trust fund. When Sani Abacha increased the price of farm products, so the proceeds of that increase in the price of petroleum was now deployed to Petroleum Trust Fund for infrastructure development across the country. Up to today, many roads that PTF constructed are still in existence, mostly in the western states, in Nigeria, even in part of the northern Nigeria. So looking at this, Buhari is a symbol of transparency, it's a symbol of accountability, it's a symbol of honesty, sincerity, and nationalism, and patriotism. Buhari, upon looking at his public life and private life, he's unmaterialistic leader, uncorruptible leader. So the leaders of today and the youth of today need to emulate his legacies.
Indeed, indeed.
Indeed. When he defeated Goodwill Ebele Jonathan in 2015, he declared his asset. And he has no single foreign account. So these are some of the leaders this country need.
Indeed. You know, can I at this stage...
These are the leaders the youth of today should shy away for quick money syndrome.
Yeah, okay, indeed.
And emulate his characters.
Yes.
So those who are celebrating the death of Buhari, they're ignorant of the scriptures of the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible, and they don't have good home upbringing. And every life must test death, and death is inevitable. Sooner or later, you will die.
Indeed. Let me take this clip now from his long-term spokesperson, Garba Shehu, and then we'll come back immediately and continue our conversation.
Buhari's death has dampened the spirits of virtually everyone here. He's an inspirational figure, not only at home here in Dora, but in the nation and the entire continent. He led by example. He was a rare kind of leader, and certainly incorruptible, and the closest friend that the masses of our people would possibly ever have. He's lost and he's gone, so everyone is not happy. Well, there's sadness everywhere. The simplicity of his life is a lesson for everyone. You can see that his...
Okay, an excerpt there. An easily recognizable face, Garba Shehu. He was his spokesperson throughout the 8 years, not alone, you know, but he was in there. And there he is speaking about the virtues of the man, some of which you have already mentioned. That's a main thing, because what a lot of people say is the fact that he's a very disciplined man. He was a very disciplined man. And people have made the point that, Garba used the word just now, incorruptible. Well, at least he's been known to not be one of those. I don't know that he particularly cared for, you know, the fineries of this world. He was an ascetic kind of a gentleman. Very, very simple. That didn't seem to be his style. And so I think when you were talking about these are values that Nigerians need to imbibe, I wanted to ask you what you thought about his performance when on, because he came on and everybody knew about these virtues that you've been speaking about, that Garba Shehu was just speaking about. Everybody knows about those virtues. And so people expected much in terms of the fight against corruption. But having to do it through the rule of law, having to go through all democratic processes, do you think that sort of would have been a bit frustrating to a man? Let's face it, we all know that we have a challenge, we have a problem, but you cannot address that problem if you don't go through the rule of law, and oftentimes therein lies the escape route. Do you think it would have been frustrating to him? Because I think the former president did speak about this aspect one or two times, that, look, what do you want me to do? We have to go through the law.
Yeah, when former President Muhammadu Buhari came into power in 2015, he has made the country in a big state of economic decline, insecurity, decayed infrastructure, higher level of corruption, money laundering, stealing, diversion of public funds for personal enrichment. And even when he when he took over the mantle of the leadership, the state of the economy of the country is at the verge of collapse. Many public officers who held public offices, ministers, permanent secretaries, contractors, even some religious leaders were indicted for diversion of public funds using the money for campaign for the previous administration of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Many projects were abandoned. The government is owing a lot of contractors. Money are being stockpiled. Even in the sockaway, in the houses, in shops. So he made a very terrible economic situation, and which will take him many years to fix. So, and some of the ministers who work within the government of Buhari also, or who work within the corridor of the power, doesn't have the same lifestyle or discipline or uncorruptible manner like Buhari. So when you don't have good cabals or good kitchen cabinet, people who will help you to steer the ship of the leadership, then that leadership will not see the light of the day. So that was some of the difficulty and the challenges he faced when he was a president. Indeed. But still he has done a lot. In terms of the fight against corruption, when he took over the Northeast, there is a widespread of insecurity, Boko Haram, ISWAP, Ansaruddin in the North Central. He has did everything humanly possible to make sure that Boko Haram and other insecurity have been downgraded. But after the downgrading of the Boko Haram, then some on the Northwest, the issue of armed banditry, cultural stealing, kidnapping for ransom have just arose. So that was the major challenge.
Did you just mention Ansaruddin?
Sorry,
sir. Did you just mention Ansaruddin as well?
Yeah, in the North Central, in Kogi, in Niger State, that is Ansaruddin terrorist.
Okay.
So these are some of the major challenges he faced when he was a president. And the fight against corruption, when he was fighting corruption, some corrupt officials are fighting his government also. So these are some of the challenges. Some of his government officials are now having case filed in the Economic Financial Crime Commission. Some are at ICPC, some are even in court. So these are the challenges he faced when he was a president.
Those are some of the challenges he faced. And of course, you know, he was a democratically elected president, and he sometimes, you know, they say the wheels of justice sometimes grind very, very slowly. And him coming from his earlier background of military dispatch, you know, with an automatic alacrity, that kind of a thing, instant, things weren't working. So it did seem to people that they were almost like he sort of said, okay, let's run the way it was supposed to run. And therein people began to criticize, say, we have no doubt whatsoever that President Buhari is a man of honor. You know, that's the way he is. But what is going on here? Why can't we get what we wanted? Much was expected from him in terms of that very discipline that he and his colleague, General Diagbon, had sort of announced to us when they first came as military leaders.
War against indiscipline.
Yes, the war, thank you, the war against indiscipline. But it was the same Buhari that was a champion of war against indiscipline that was seeing the kind of things you've just been describing. And I can imagine, many people can imagine back to those days. I said yesterday that one can't be referring back to those days with much fondness because they were not democratic days. But the point is that, you see now, it would never have happened in the Buhari-Diagmo time. But then we had a situation where he had to appeal to a different mindset. He had to borrow from a different mindset. In that sense, his job wasn't made any easier. And couple this with the fact that he's a very quiet person. This President Buhari doesn't seem to talk too much, would be my guess. Now, you worked with him.
Yes.
You worked with him going back in the day. Is what Nigerians saw of his service, is that the way you knew him when he wasn't even anything like a head of state at the time, going back to the very, very beginning? Is that how quiet he was?
When I met Buhari, it was in 2003. I and Dimchukwu Emeka Odemegu Ojukwu and Chief Chekwas Okori, the pioneer national chairman of ABGA, while I was the national secretary of ABGA as at that time. He was very quiet, very disciplined, and he respects the rule of law. If I can refresh your memory, the first journey he began in the fighting his electoral mandate, he went to court in 2003, he went to court in 2007, he went to court in 2011, and he won in 2015. So throughout the period of the struggle, in 2003, I was with him, with Dimchukwu Emeka Odemegu Ojukwu, led Wadanas, led Chief Okadibo, led Balarabe Musa. We formed a coalition to do a mass protest in the major cities in this country. So I moved around with him. Most of the press conferences he do, I represent Dimchukwu Emeka Odemegu Ojukwu as a presidential candidate of ABGA in 2003 and 2007. So I know him, he's very quiet, but he respects the rule of law. He decided to go through constitutional means to reclaim his mandate. He ran election even with his country home person from his home state, late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. So I know him, he's a very disciplined, he respects the rule of law, and he decided to follow the due process of the law to claim his mandate. But unfortunately, he cannot make it through the court, but he make it through the ballot in 2015. Buhari is the most loved politician. He's the most widely acceptable politician, especially in northern state and in the southwest. He was loved by people. He's one of the most popular politician. If you after Sarona of Sokoto of blessed memory and the Tafawa Balewa. So he's widely respected, or he's highly disciplined. But only he was not lucky enough to get some lieutenant when he has now decided to join politics.
Okay.
Some of the lieutenant when he become president in 2015 are the one who have been causing or creating bad name for his government. Buhari, you know, the first challenge he has in office, he was sick. He was away for almost 8 months. He was hospitalized in Saudi Arabia. So some people took advantage of his sickness and be perpetuating some act of indiscipline and siphoning public funds for personal enrichment. That was one of the major challenges
that
he was not physically and medically fit to be steering the mantle of the leadership when he was a president. And some people closely took that advantage.
In fact, it has been said, some have muted the fact that perhaps President Muhammadu Buhari was not he wasn't sufficiently political. He seemed to see things in very clear, black or white kind of a way. You can't justify stealing, for example. No sophistry should be brought to bear. If a thing is not good, it is not good. But as I say, those times probably go back to when he was in uniform. But it would seem that that particular aspect of his, it stayed with him. I'm remembering now, General Abdusalami Abubakar, in speaking about him to journalists, was saying that, Buhari, he's the kind of person that you can trust, and that he will never betray you. I mean, that's saying plenty.
Yes.
That's saying plenty, that he's the kind of person you can trust and he will never betray you. Do you think he himself felt betrayed by the system when he now came on board, ready to work for his fatherland as a patriot, as a statesman that he is, and, the conditions weren't right?
Yeah, you see, first and foremost, you cannot take away his military background because of his military training for almost 26 years in the military. So having joining politics in 2003, if you compare from 1962 to 1988, it's 26 years. Then from 2003 to 2023 is 20 years. So you cannot take away his military training, his military background, because at his early age, at his youthful age, he was in the military. And it will be very difficult for you to take away such some military attitude from him, because they were in the barracks. They don't interact with people, civilians or people, unless if maybe it's their relations. So these are some of the things you cannot take away that military attitude. If you look at even Obasanjo, you cannot take away such military attitude from when he was a president of this country. There are some decisions they have to take on an autocratic manner. You understand? Because of the military background. So having said that, Buhari is very honest as how he has been described, and he cannot betray you when you have entrusted him with responsibilities. But some people close to him betrayed him and betrayed Nigerians when he was in power. Because somebody who's not corrupt, but you now EFCC will arrest, detain, even charge his minister to court, trying to prosecute them for stealing, cheating, and diversion of public funds worth billions of naira. They mismanaged public funds. So it was not Buhari who betrayed Nigerian. It was those he entrusted with responsibility that betrayed Nigeria.
Okay. Because
if you go to his house in Daura, Buhari doesn't have a mansion. He has only 3-bedroom bungalow. As I'm talking to, I visited him when he joined politics, and when he was a president, I pay him salah homage in Daura. He has a very big space, but only 3-bedroom bungalow.
Indeed.
So he lived a simple life. Even his house in Kaduna is not as big as such. It's just a plantation you see there.
Indeed.
Well, you cannot see a foreign chair in Buhari sitting room or living room. All his furniture are locally made. If you quantify his living room, all the furniture in that living room are not up to 2 to 3 million naira. But you see a local government chairman buy a furniture of 30 million, 50 million, furniture in his bedroom or his house.
Okay. I'll tell you what, let's take a break now. Please, we'll be right back and we'll continue this conversation. I'll also include your calls from home. Stay with us, please.
In a world where news never sleeps, we're taking a giant leap into the future. We at TVC Communications are proud to introduce a new era in news broadcasting. But first, let me introduce my special friend, Olamide AI. Hi, Olamide Human. Is it time to come out yet? Yes, indeed it is. And you can bring your friends along. Meet our new AI anchors, speaking your language and sharing your stories. From English, good day. These are the news headlines, to Pidgin,
better country people, on a good evening.
Yoruba,
Ekaro, Ekudede Asikoyi, Shedadalabayi,
Igbo,
Ndewo, Auto Innovation, Ahambu Obada Samson Ejuro,
and Hausa.
Mutane na sanar da zuwa, sunana Rakia Abdulkarim kuma kana kallon TVC News.
We are bringing the news closer to you. Faster, smarter, and always reliable. And together, we are shaping the future of news for every Nigerian, everywhere. Innovation, connection, and trust. The future of news is here.
TVC News, first with breaking news. And now first in Nigeria with AI news anchors.
Muhammadu Buhari was born on December 17, 1942 in Daura, Katsina State. As a then military head of state, General Buhari's regime launched the war against indiscipline. Why? Promoting order and accountability not only in the public office, but in the day-to-day activities of an average Nigerian, including pupils and students. Many years later, General Buhari made many attempts to return to power as a democratic president, but failed at 3 different times in 2003, 2007, and 2011. His anti-corruption stance began to gain traction among Nigerians. He was tagged as a man of integrity, which earned him a lot of support from both the political elites and prospective voters. In 2015, General Buhari became the first opposition candidate to win the Nigerian presidency. He made history by defeating an incumbent president. Despite 3 initial losses in presidential elections, he consistently secured over 12 million votes in each contest, except against Musa Yar'Adua, also from Katsina State. This reflected an extraordinary mass appeal and grassroots support. As a civilian president, he successfully navigated Nigeria through COVID-19, where Nigeria exited a COVID-induced recession faster than many nations. Former President Buhari modernized the armed forces with the largest investment in 4 decades, reformed the police force, degraded insurgent groups, and improved Nigerians' coastal safety significantly. To his credit, against all odds and pessimism, former President Buhari completed the much-desired Second Niger Bridge in the southeast, pushed the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to a near completion, and the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Expressway. The Buhari administration also revived the country's railway system under its rail modernization program. Achievements include the completion of the Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line with an 8.72 kilometers extension to the Lagos Port Complex, the completion and commissioning of the Abuja-Kaduna rail line in 2016, as well as the completion of the Itakpe-Warri standard gauge rail line in 2020, 33 years after construction began. After completing 2 terms, Buhari peacefully handed over to President Bola Tinubu in line with Nigeria's constitutional term limit. Muhammadu Buhari's legacy remains deeply debated. To some, he was a principled disciplinarian and anti-corruption crusader. To others, an authoritarian whose governance fell short of Nigerians' democratic aspirations. Kayode Ladende, TVC News, Lagos.
Okay. So there you have it. Our guest is still Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi. He's Executive Director, Patriots for the Advancement of Peace and Social Development. Just to remind you that today has been set by the government. First of all, it's a public holiday. All flags are at half-mast, and it's scheduled that the former president will be buried in Daura today. Dr. Shinkafi, are you still with me? Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm with you.
Oh, okay. So there we have it again. In that report by Kayode there, he certainly was a different kind of a man, but Kayode ended that report with, you know, the sort of the intertwining of the expectations from a man of such reputation and political clout, and then the actuality. In fact, you have already explained this before we took that Kayode's report. So here we are, a man of great political clout. The point was made that he scored, you know, 12 million votes, no less. So certainly political capital resided with the man. He was a man much loved by his people.
Yes.
So to that extent, politically relevant. And you recall that in keeping with this is respectability, officer and a gentleman, an officer, or a man's word is his bond. I think Buhari sort of, you know, he encapsulated that when this whole coalition thing came about, and I think one of the figures in there had gone to speak with him. The news reported that what he had said was that, you know, well, here I am in APC. I will not leave APC, cannot leave APC. It doesn't matter what emissaries I'm getting, but I have heard you. You've come to me, you've told me, thank you for the respect, but this is where I am. So again, this is another sort of, shall we say, extension of the man that General Abdusalami Abubakar said, you can leave matters with Buhari, he will never ever betray you. So there's a lot going for him. The political legacy of General Buhari, do you think there's anybody who can sort of inherit that legacy and keep the torch?
You see, in the whole northern Nigeria, nobody can retain that legacy. Looking at the historical background, how he contested election in 2003, 2011, 2003, 2007, 2011, and 2015, he maintained that popularity and the support from the masses. Masses knew that Buhari doesn't have money to share, doesn't have money to bribe INEC or to bribe any security agency or to buy votes, but still the downtrodden masses decided to support him up to 2015, while he defeated an incumbent sitting president in the history of Nigeria. Since the advent of democracy after independence in 1960 up to 1966, there was no any opposition party that defeated an incumbent president. Chief Obafemi Awolowo and late Zik Anande Azikwe and Waziri Ibrahim and Mala Aminu Kano contested with Shagari in 1979 and 1983. And Shagari defeated them hands down. So it is very difficult to defeat an incumbent. And Buhari contested with Obasanjo, contested with Atiku, contested with Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, and lost because of the incumbency power. But because he maintained the popularity and the support from the downtrodden masses, and the issue of merger came off in 2014, where some opposition political party merged and formed APC, and he was given the ticket. And let me also remind you, even at the primaries in Lagos, Konkoso contested that primaries with him. Atiku contested that primaries with him. Rochas Okorocha contested that primary with him. He beat them hands down and get the ticket of APC in 2015 and defeated an incumbent president. So it is very difficult for any northerner to fill that vacuum or to take over that mantle of leadership and get that support. Up to today, as I'm telling you, up to today, as they are burying Buhari, people love him so much.
Indeed.
I wanted to go to Daura for the burial and the funeral prayer, but because I knew it is going to be crowded, I decided to stay back till after maybe the crowd had reduced. That I'll go and
pay your respects.
Pay my respect.
Okay.
To the family.
Let me bring on. Let me bring on, sir. Let me bring on Mr. George, who has called in from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. George.
And good morning to the guest. Uncle Yori, whether anybody likes it or not, Buhari's exit is a great loss for Nigeria. One must separate personal character from political governance. Nobody can question the integrity and the quality of character that Buhari has. If you put him from now to the next century, you will not find him guilty of stealing Nigeria's 1 naira. Everybody knows that. But when it comes to governance, people have different skills for it. I believe he has done his best. And in the place I was born, we are not allowed to speak ill of the dead. You have to acknowledge the much he was able to achieve instead of condemning and mocking his character. I've also, like the speaker said, I've also been watching on the media what some Nigerians are doing. There are some stations that are mainly doing documentary to highlight the weaknesses, even personal weaknesses of this man. These same stations do not remember or they are not showing anything that shows that he built the second Niger bridge, that he brought the train to life in Nigeria, that he did this, there are so many things that this man did that suffer from this same pressmen who refused to publicize them. But that is by the way. I would appeal to the speaker that he should not mind those ones. They are children from broken homes, as one can describe them. Yet, Uncle Yori, they are supporters of a man who wants to rule this country. He wants to get votes from the south, from the east, from the west, and become our president. And his supporters are mocking a man like Buhari, and he's not saying anything.
Yeah.
And he wants to be our president. Okay, Uncle Yori, let's just forget that one.
Yes.
There's something that struck me about the event that happened last Sunday, Uncle Yori. 2 prominent Nigerians passed on the same day. And when I took a closer look at it, I saw that the 2 of them have some common traits.
Oh, yes.
Of personal integrity.
Yes.
There are 2 traditional rulers in this country that have gained my respect. It is that Oba Sikiru Adetono, the Awujale of Ijebuland, and the Oba of Benin, the father of the current one. They are the only 2 traditional rulers I know in this country who do not tolerate nonsense. Politicians, politicians will go to them, they will tell them, go and meet the people and show them your scorecard. I remember Obadetono in particular was the only traditional ruler that refused to take dollars that they brought to Lagos and call the Odioba to come and share because of election. The man said, no, I don't need that kind of money. And he has been there for over 6 decades.
Yes.
The longest serving monarch that I know. Look at the things that are happening in that state up to the recent Ojo de Oba festival. That has become something international now. That is his work.
Leadership for you.
The way and manner that the tradition is being upheld and upgraded. That is the way things should behave. The same thing you can face to General Buhari. He has not, my little bungalow is better than his own. Me, a common laborer who is not known anywhere, somebody that has seen money, trillions, he will not touch a kobo. You think it takes greatness to do that?
Indeed.
We owe
thank you, Mr. George.
Our appreciation to these two
Indeed.
men, and those who are abusing them, we leave them to the justice of the Almighty.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. A rare breed. Dr. Shinkafi, as you were hearing there, it has come up that Oba Sikuru Adetono, the Awujale of Ijebuland, also within 4 hours. Yes, within 4 hours of hearing of the passing of President Buhari, his passing was also announced, making it a sort of a double jeopardy almost for the country. So, I don't know.
May their soul rest in peace.
Indeed, may their soul rest in peace. People that were misbehaving, that's the only way to put it. Because generally speaking in Nigeria, we don't speak ill of the dead. And so the point was made in there that, in this day and age of freedom of expression, every man to his own. We just leave it like that. But whoever is in Daura today, and we certainly will be showing you those pictures. In fact, right now, they can be in and out of those pictures. We'll see the esteem in which the man was held. He was a statesman. He did his best. There you can see like an advanced team of people who are just waiting for the event. The body of the late late former president is being expected. And as you just heard our guest say, he is worried, he was a bit concerned that it was going to be a jam-packed event. And so he might go later and pay his respects later. So any way you look at it, Buhari was a man of the people. You could say the people were frustrated later on, but oftentimes we hear that you don't know all that they know. You were speaking about the disappointment he had when he came into office and saw the lie of the ground, that what is this? So, people were complaining at the time that before he could get his cabinet together, it was almost 6 months. But apparently we now understand that I think it was Lai Mohammed, his Minister of Information, who was saying that the pigsty had to be cleared out. And that was much, much more than anybody would have expected. So a word is enough for the wise. You see the situation under which he was working. But he gave of his best. He did his best. And he's a man who has been respected.
Yeah, he did his best.
And that report by our own Kayode there, it did highlight a number of things, as George said, that people don't often talk about. All the things, look at the train, look at the bridges, look at even the military, sort of enhancing the military and all of that. The man did his best. And here we are. Nigerians are going to pay him
many military commands were established across the country. And his achievement is visible across the country. If you go to the southeast, you will see this souk project.
Yes.
It was part of the Buhari achievement. And since 1983, many politicians have been campaigning with the second Niger bridge, and nobody fulfilled or actualized that campaign promise. It was only Buhari who has awarded the contract, commissioned it. So it is. If you look at also the Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Sokoto, dual carriage is also part of his achievement. And also the issue of railway, he brought it to the moonlight. So there are a lot of projects which have been even, government is continuum. So this government, administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is even executing part of Buhari blueprints. So he have achieved so much in office, and the government is continuing, and it's a dancing stage. When you do your own turn, somebody will do his own turn. You cannot say that a human is 100% perfect. So we're imperfect. And in accordance with the Islamic injunction, once a person died, all his activities are being closed. All his chapter must be closed. As I said earlier, those who have been saying bad about Buhari are not disciplined. They have poor home upbringing, and they are not conversant, or they are ignorant of the scriptures of the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible. Because that is a transition. That is a resurrection. That is the day of judgment. So people have to look at it. And God has a way of forgiving.
Indeed.
Or having a mercy upon his fellow, his believer. You know, we are created by God. And God also is, he can be merciful to anyone he wishes.
Indeed.
So in Arabic, God is Ghafurur ar-Rahim.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
God is forgiving and merciful.
Indeed. In fact, and people have been praying in line with the Muslim expression, may God, forgive him his errors and erroneous behavior, like every human being. Only God is perfect. And so it is assumed that no matter how
that is the essence of the funeral prayer, and also the mourning.
Yes.
So during the funeral prayer, people will be praying for forgiveness of the deceased, and also pray for the family he left behind, for the difficulty they are having in the trial moment.
Yeah.
So also the mourning also is part of the prayers. People will go and be offering prayers, offering support to commiserate with the family of the loved ones he left behind.
Okay, we've got to leave it. We've got to leave it here because we're going to stay on it. This is Daura that you're seeing right now. As I said, they're in high gear preparations, waiting to receive the body of the late Muhammadu Buhari. I want to thank you.
Let me just in few seconds extend my sincere condolences to the family of late Muhammadu Buhari and His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the entire people of this country. We have lost a great man. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you, Yori Falari.
Thank you very much, sir.
The program.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi is a politician, executive director, patriot for the advancement of peace and social development. We'll have to leave it there. Once again, Dr. Shinkafi, thank you very much for coming on the program. TVC will keep you posted. Of course, TVC is going to be in Daura. Every second will be broadcast to our viewers. We're going to have to leave it here. So do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.
My name is Adewi Ahmed. I'm an information security professional. I've always been looking for an insurance company that I can actually rely on to insure my devices and household equipment. I've been a customer of Cornerstone now for more than a year. Whenever you reach out to them, you get a prompt feedback. Their time response is number one thing I really enjoy. They promise what we are actually going to do. Whenever there is a problem or maybe theft or an accident, you can easily find something to go back to, not that you return back to zero. So that is one of the best things that I think is the reason why you need to insure your items. If I'm to describe Cornerstone, I will use timeliness.
Cornerstone, the future assured.